Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to share with you some tricks that I've learned to make your recalibration life very simple. Yesterday, while I was recalibrating, I literally developed a headache from doing this. This process is supposed to keep you here and make you burn hours and hours, but I'm going to share a few things that will help you kind of speed your way through it and do your recalibration quite efficiently so that you can actually get back into enjoying the game and farming for stats. Now, before we jump into the video, I've noticed that about 70+% of the audience that watches videos on the Gaming Daddy channel are not yet subscribers. So if you're an audience member and you're not yet a subscriber, all you have to do to change that is just click the subscribe button. So thank you very much in advance for that. I appreciate you guys so much. All right, so first things first, when you get to the recalibration station and you want to checking stuff into the library, one of the very first things that I would encourage you to do is go ahead and unmark things as favorite. Now, many times many people pick stuff up from the open world or from farming and they mark it as favorite so that they do not deconstruct it as junk. And when they come to the recalibration station, what happens is the library will not transfer any stats that you have from items that are marked as favorite. So you want to make sure that you remove the favorite status from them and then go and recalibrate them. Now, in some cases, if you mark your item as junk, the recalibration station will recognize junk items and it can transfer stats from those items into your library if you wish. Let me unmark these and not go accidentally crush items that I actually do want. Another thing too is purple gear and purple items do recalibrate their stats as well as their talents. A lot of people may not know, but you can actually also find some really good things that you may be looking for in terms of talent, in terms of roles. In fact, I did have at one point a purple item, which is, I think, superior quality, because in the division we actually call things by quality. Purple is superior quality, gold is high end, and then we have exotic, and then we have the green and all the others. I have found items of the superior nature that do have max stats. In fact, I think it was, I can't remember the exact stat, but here I'll show you a little clip of me transferring that stat from a purple item into my recalibration library, which is something that many people may not necessarily have been paying attention to. But don't throw away your purple gear just because you saw that or because you've seen that it's purple, or don't ignore gear because the gear is sitting there, it dropped and it was purple. Go and pick it up and check it out and make sure that it doesn't have something better than what you have in your library. And then to my third tip, whatever you want to call it, I would say do this first before you start building your gear. Go ahead and fill up your library before you start making your build. Now, I know how that may sound like something that is causing a little bit of friction for a lot of people, but hear me out. This is my reasoning behind it. If you fill up your library, you're still going to be getting gear. And what's even interesting is you're still going to be getting better gear, not just all kinds of, crappy gear. You'll be getting good gear as you're going along. And one of the really cool things that you want to do is you want to make sure that your library has the items or the attributes that you will need in order to build. Plus, you're not going to make only one build. You're going to have multiple builds for different scenarios within the division game. If you want to play a raid, there are many ways that you can go. You can be the person who plays a marksman build. You can be the person who plays a support build. You might want to play an LMG build just to have more sustained damage and keep suppressing enemies and also doing some good, decent damage for your team. So with all the builds that you will make, if some of you run 3 builds, some run 7, think about all those builds and then understand why it's important, for me to be actually saying that you want to at least fill your library up with the best stats in the game and even with talents. And then you can start taking your time to build and min-max. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't build at all. You can be building slightly along the way. And then finally, when you get all the stats that you need, it will be very easy for you to be able to come up with some build that you wish to do. Now, if you look at my case, I have my striker build and it's a weapon damage build, and it has got some of the better weapon damage stats that I've been able to find. I haven't found the max of all of them, but I already started gathering all my stats. If you look at my backpack, 14.1, I think, out of 15. Look at my holster, 12.9, I think, out of 15 as well. And then my knee pads, 15 out of 15. In my gloves also has 15% weapon damage. That's also stashed in the library. Only my chest piece doesn't have, my chest piece isn't a core red, so I'm not getting any of those on this particular item. But you see where I'm going with that. And then the fourth one is also make sure that when you're farming, you prioritize chest pieces, and backpacks. Now, the reason I say this is because you want to make sure that you first fill up your library with all the talents in terms of your gear. Now, in terms of weapons, those are going to drop sporadically. The weapon classes and the talent classes for the weapon classes are all over the place, so you're going to be getting those as you're going along. And you can pick, you can use purple weapons as well to do them. But in terms of your library, in terms of your chest piece and talents, you want to make sure that you have all your talents already farmed. If you notice right now, I'm missing somewhere around maybe 4 or 5 or 6. But once I get them, it'll be nice for me to be able to test out all these different fun talents and be able to use them in my build overall. So make sure that you're prioritizing that in terms of your chest piece and in terms of your backpacks, because the talents are very fun, very unique. And, sometimes it's also difficult for you to actually, complete it, because you might find a piece that also has some really good stuff on it. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Even if you're farming talents, don't, take your eyes off of the core and the regular attributes, because they may also have some nuggets within them. And this is something that you can also prioritize and something you can be paying attention to as you're farming and as you're getting your, library all filled up. And then another really cool tip that many of you may not necessarily know is that your vendors are a very, very good source of getting some really cool stats. Now, these gloves that I have on are 15% weapon damage gloves. I think I got that from a vendor that was selling these gloves in New York. I think the clan vendor in New York was selling these 15% weapon damage gloves, and I bought a few and I immediately transferred it to my library. You can transfer stats and talents that you've gotten from a vendor purchase into your library. So you go to your clan vendor, look at what your clan vendor has got, you pick up that item and you get it. Right now, as I'm making this video, these Cheska Vroba gloves are still here, 15% weapon damage. You can go pick yourself one and transfer directly into your library. It's a good thing the developers have actually left it that way, because in my opinion, this makes the vendors much more important. I'm going to buy myself some of these dexterity mods for critical hit damage, and when I'm ready to do a critical damage and crit chance build, I can have that. All right, now another really cool thing that I think will help you very well in this whole recalibration thing is you have to be willing to partially put these stats in your library first before you max them out. What do I mean by that? Now, if I go to my library, you're going to see that some of my stats are not, my attributes are not at the max. An example, armor on a mask. I only have a max 120,000. Now, many people may say, well, I'm looking for the max roll, so I'm not going to need to bother to transfer it. But ladies and gentlemen, it costs you nothing to transfer it except just a few seconds. And transferring it helps you to be able to keep track even better. You see, one of the biggest issues that you're going to face is learning how to keep track of everything. I mean, every single item, every single core attribute, every single regular attribute, and every single talent amounts to at least 200 plus different things that you have to deal with once you walk into this recalibration library. It's like having a whole library with 200 folders, and each folder having different files in them. And so one of the very first things that you would enjoy in terms of that is making sure that you at least have something that's tracking the attributes for you as you're going through in terms of that. And then if you notice this particular weapon, many of you may say, oh, but why haven't you, added this new stat to your library? Well, it's because I'm using this shotgun as well, and I haven't marked it as favorite, which is something that I actually have to do. So in terms of the way recalibration library works, I hope this has actually been really helpful for you. Somebody, told me in one of my comments that my last video was trash because I didn't talk about the economy. And I said, well, go make a better video. This stuff is all new to everybody. We're all figuring it out together. I don't know everything. You guys are the ones who are the geniuses in the Division 2. All I do is learn and tell you what I've learned. So far, this is what I've learned about the recalibration library and how to efficiently organize and fill it up. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me hear in the comment section what you've gained so far. Tell me if there's a better way to actually organize your stats, or tell me where you're finding some of the best stats. Because once you put it there in the comment section, you guys know I read these things. I'll be running all around that place trying to find the best stats and fill up my library as well. All right. Thank you very much for your time and audience. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.